The stars outside the cruiser Conquered Resolve glowed like silent sparks, scattered across the endless dark. Captain Helena Ward stood on the bridge, hands behind her back, watching them drift by as the ship entered Vesthal Dominion space. It was supposed to be a simple diplomatic visit, deliver supplies, confirm the alliance treaty, and return home. But nothing about today felt simple. The crew had been uneasy from the moment the message arrived, a sudden high-priority summons from Queen Veraska, ruler of the insectoid Vesthal species. Her request was short and strange. "Do not do it behind my back. I am out of breath. I need humans." No one understood what she meant. The translation bots struggled with the phrasing, but the urgency was crystal clear. As the ship dropped out of warp, the Vesthal capital planet, Thalrock, came into view. A world of giant honeycomb structures and spiraling towers. It looked like a massive beehive carved by ancient gods. Ships swarmed the space around it like worker insects around a queen. Helena exhaled slowly. "Open a channel to the surface." "Yes, Captain," her comms officer replied. A brief crackle of static filled the bridge, followed by a deep, rumbling voice. "Human vessel Conquered Resolve. This is Royal Guardian Cress. The Queen awaits you. Proceed immediately. There is great urgency." Even the alien sounded nervous. That was never a good sign. Helena nodded. "Acknowledged, Guardian. Preparing to land." She turned to her bridge crew. "All right, stay sharp. Something is wrong down there." The landing pad shimmered with pale green biolights as the humans disembarked. Vestal guards stood in perfect formation, each towering over the humans, armored in dark, chitin-like plates. Their eyes, glowing with amber warmth, followed every step Helena made. Lieutenant Ramos whispered at her side, "They look even more tense than usual." Helena nodded slightly. "Which means the Queen must be worse." The palace was a massive structure, half cathedral, half living cavern. Walls curved like the insides of a shell, covered with glistening patterns and organic carvings that shifted with soft pulses of bioluminescence. Vesthal architecture always looked alive, but today it felt restless, almost anxious. Inside, the air was heavy, warm, and scented with faint metallic sweetness. Helena's suit filtered most of it, but she could still feel the thickness of it pressing around her. They were led through long corridors with high ceilings and tunnels branching off like roots. Everywhere they passed, Vesthal citizens looked worried. It was as if fear hung in the air like a visible mist. Finally, they reached a large chamber with an arched entrance. At its center sat Queen Veraska, one of the most powerful beings in the Dominion, and one of the largest. She was enormous, easily 5 times the size of a human, her body a mixture of shimmering gold and deep black plates. Her wings folded against her back like draped banners. Normally, she radiated pride and strength, but today she looked exhausted. Her sides expanded and collapsed in slow, heavy breaths. Her antennae drooped, and her voice, when she spoke, came out strained and weak. "Captain Helena Ward," Veraska rumbled, her tone rough but relieved. "You answered my summons. Humanity honors its promises." Helena stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, we came as fast as we could. What troubles you?" The Queen's wings fluttered weakly, as if even that movement stole her strength. "I am," she began, slowly choosing her words, "out of breath." Helena remained calm, though the phrase echoed the strange message they had received. "Do you mean physically? Are you ill?" Veraska shook her head. "Not illness, not the body's weakness. It is the weight of betrayal, the sting of deception." Her voice deepened, vibrating the air. "Someone, many someones, act behind my back." Ramos exchanged a look with Helena, both reading the same confusion. Behind her back? Veraska continued. There are tunnels in this palace that only my people can crawl through. Shadows where only my kind can hide. I cannot see behind myself. I cannot move fast enough to chase secrets in the dark. My enemies use this. They sabotage my air chambers. They steal my breath with traps and stress. The queen leaned forward, her massive head lowered and her glowing eyes locked onto Helena. I trust humans, she said. You are small, but you see clearly. You hear what we do not. Where we rely on pheromones and instinct, you rely on vision and logic. That is why I called for you. Helena felt the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. Your Majesty, do you believe someone is trying to overthrow you? A soft rasp escaped the queen, a sound like stone grinding against stone. I do not believe, Veraska said. I know. A silence fell over the chamber. Even the guards shifted uneasily. Veraska spoke again, voice softer now. Humans are not seen as threats here. You walk unnoticed. You can investigate where I cannot. I need you to uncover the truth. Helena always knew the Vestal court was a dangerous place. Politics between hive clusters, noble houses, and warrior castes were filled with tension. But a coup? Against a queen who had ruled unchallenged for decades. That was something different. Your Majesty, Helena said gently, why come to us? Surely your own security forces. They are the problem, Veraska interrupted. My enemies hide among them. If I move too strongly, I show weakness. If I wait too long, I suffocate. Her wings twitched again. Human eyes see what Vestal eyes ignore. Human minds notice patterns we overlook. You think outside of instinct. Helena knew this was true. Humans often surprised alien species with their flexible way of thinking, part intuition, part stubbornness, part raw creativity. Veraska drew in a deep, shaky breath. My breath grows short, my patience shorter. If I lose power, the Dominion falls into chaos, and the alliance with humanity collapses with it. Ramos whispered, Captain, if she's right, this is huge. Helena already knew. The Vestal Dominion was the second largest power in this region of space. If its queen fell, a war could erupt between rival factions. That war could spill into human territory. We'll help you, Helena said firmly. Veraska's eyes brightened. I knew humanity would not turn away. But I need clarity, Helena continued. What exactly has happened? What dangers should we expect? The queen shifted, her plates clicking softly. It began 3 cycles ago. Air filters reversed, ventilation shafts sealed, biolight systems sabotaged, my private chambers tampered with. She paused, breathing hard. These acts are not random. They are attacks meant to weaken me. Ramos frowned. If the air is being manipulated, that explains why you're out of breath. Veraska nodded slowly. Yes, a queen's strength depends on stable airflow. Stress increases my oxygen use. My enemies force me into weakness. Helena stepped closer. Do you have suspects? I do, Veraska admitted. But naming them without proof would ignite civil war. A ripple of frustration rolled through her massive form. I need evidence. I need eyes in places I cannot reach. I need you. Helena faced her team. This mission won't be simple. The palace is huge, and the court is dangerous. But if we don't act, the queen dies, or is replaced. Ramos stood straighter. Then let's find the traitors. Veraska let out a trembling breath of relief. Thank you. I will assign you escort drones and grant you full access to my palace. Start where the sabotage is strongest, the lower ventilation chambers. They are dark, narrow, easy for enemies to hide in. Helena nodded. We'll begin immediately. As the humans turned to leave, Veraska spoke once more, quietly, almost pleading. Humans, she said, please, do not do it behind my back. Tell me what you find. Tell me everything. Secrets are killing me. Helena paused, looking back at the massive queen. I promise, she said. We won't keep anything from you. And for the first time since landing, Veraska seemed to breathe a little easier. But only a little. Because the shadows of the Vestal Palace were deep, and something inside them was waiting. The tunnels beneath the Vestal Palace were nothing like the shining halls above. Up there, everything glowed with soft biolight. Down here, the darkness felt heavy, like a living thing resting on every wall. Captain Helena Ward led her small human team, Lieutenant Ramos, Medic Orion Hale, Tech Specialist Priya Malik, and 2 pilots turned field scouts, Joss and Lena, through a narrow passage lit only by their suit lamps. Ramos wrinkled his nose. Smells like hot metal and dust. That's the ventilation systems, Priya said. She checked her scanner again. The airflows are irregular. Something is definitely wrong. Helena nodded. Stay alert. The Queen said the sabotage is strongest down here. The drone escort hovering behind them emitted a soft hum. Its round body and 4 thin legs moved with precision, scanning ahead with red tracking beams. The deeper they went, the colder it became. Air blew through the chamber in strange pulses, too strong, then too weak, then strong again. It felt like walking through the lungs of a giant creature that couldn't breathe right. Lena whispered, Poor Queen. If this broken air reaches her chambers. Hale finished for her. It could explain her exhaustion. Helena agreed. Exactly. Which is why we're fixing this. They reached a split in the tunnel, 2 long paths carved like natural caves but clearly engineered by Vestal builders. The drone buzzed and flashed yellow lights. Warning, it clicked. Left path unstable. Right path recommended. Left is unstable? Ramos questioned. Or someone wants us to think that. Priya touched the cave wall. It was warm. Too warm. Energy signatures on the left? Could be sabotage tools? Helena thought quickly. All right, Priya, Ramos, you take the left. Hale, Lena, Joss, you're with me on the right. Stay in communication range. Ramos raised an eyebrow. Splitting up? Classic horror mistake. It's also efficient, Helena replied dryly. Move. The team divided and disappeared into opposite tunnels. Helena's group moved cautiously through the right path, which widened into a vast chamber. Massive wind turbines rested overhead, their long blades turning slowly, creating deep, rhythmic vibrations that traveled through the floor. Hale looked up in awe. These machines control airflow for half the palace. If someone interferes with them, they could control the Queen's oxygen levels, Helena finished, or cause a panic by shutting them down. Joss scanned the turbines. No damage visible. Maybe surface-level systems aren't the target, Helena said. Check the control nodes. Lena crouched beside a glowing panel of living circuitry. Vestal technology was partly biological, growing, shifting, humming with soft life. She brushed dust away and frowned. Captain, someone rerouted power. Helena knelt beside her. The circuits pulsed irregularly. Purpose? Unknown, Lena said, but it weakens the airflow to the Queen's private chamber. Helena's jaw tightened. Exactly the crime she described. Hale checked his scanner. And there are faint traces of those cloaking enzymes the Queen mentioned. Someone Vestal was here. Before Helena could reply, her comm crackled. Captain? Ramos's voice came through, tense and low. You need to hear this. Go ahead. We found something. Something big. Report. We're not alone down here, he whispered. Helena stood quickly. Explain. There are micro-tunnels, fresh ones. Someone has been crawling behind the larger air shafts, installing devices. What kind of devices? Helena asked. Not weapons, Ramos replied. More like monitors, sensors, and something that looks like a pheromone disruptor. Helena exhaled. They're manipulating communication between Vestal, turning signals into confusion. Exactly. Mark everything. Don't touch anything until I arrive. Copy. Helena turned to her team. We move. Now. They hurried back toward the split. But before they reached it, a sudden metallic thud echoed behind them. Joss spun around. Captain. Something moved in the darkness. Lights flickered on. A Vestal guard towered at the end of the tunnel, eyes glowing, armor shining. Not a gentle palace guard, but a warrior-caste soldier. He wasn't supposed to be down here, and he looked angry. Helena held up a hand, stepping forward slowly. Guard, this tunnel is restricted. We are here under the Queen's... The guard charged. Helena barely dodged. The soldier slammed into the wall, shattering a section of it. Hale shouted, Why is he attacking us? Doesn't matter, Joss yelled. Move! The guard swung again, fast as a machine. His claws scraped against Helena's suit, sparks flying. Lena shouted, Captain, pheromone patterns are wrong. He's being manipulated. Helena understood in an instant. Someone had tampered with the soldier's senses, feeding him false signals, making him think the humans were intruders or threats. Disable him, she ordered. No lethal force. Joss fired a stun pulse. The blast hit the guard's chest. He shook violently, then collapsed, unconscious, but alive. Helena breathed hard. Check him. Hale scanned the soldier. He's got traces of the same cloaking enzyme Ramos found, and something else, something like a scrambled pheromone signal. Someone used him, Helena said. As a weapon. A shadow passed over her thoughts. Someone inside this palace was deeply involved. Back at the split, Helena reunited with Ramos and Priya. They had marked several sabotage devices embedded into the micro-tunnels, tiny passageways only Vestal could crawl through. Human bodies couldn't fit. Priya pointed to a spot where the wall had cracked open. Captain, look at this! Inside the micro-tunnel was a small, sealed pod filled with strange, shimmering dust. Ramos added, Pheromone disruptor. It scrambles the Queen's ability to sense her own guards. They could be standing right behind her and she'd never know. Helena felt a chill despite the heat around them. This is planned, organized, not random acts. Priya nodded. And the sabotage isn't just about weakening her. Someone wants the Queen confused, isolated, and constantly stressed. Someone wants her to break, Ramos said quietly. Before Helena could respond, the drone escort suddenly emitted a high-pitched alarm. Warning, it said. Foreign presence detected. Multiple signatures approaching. Lights flickered in the tunnel ahead. Shadows moved. Ramos lifted his weapon. We have company. A cluster of Vestal nobles appeared, crawling out of upper tunnels. Their armor was decorated with bright colors, symbols of high rank, but their faces were stern, tense, hostile. Helena stepped forward. Identify yourselves. The lead noble clicked her mandibles sharply. Humans do not belong in these tunnels. We're here by the Queen's order, Helena replied calmly. Stand down. You should not be here, the noble said again, voice rising. You disturb sacred chambers. Ramos whispered. Sacred chambers, my foot. They're hiding something. The noble hissed. Leave this place. Helena didn't move. Tell me why. The noble's antennae twitched with agitation. This area is not for human eyes. Helena narrowed her gaze. That's exactly why we're here. A ripple of nervous energy ran through the Vestal nobles. Finally, the lead one leaned forward and whispered, Some truths are dangerous, human. Helena met her eyes. Dangerous for who? No answer came. Instead, the nobles dispersed into the shadows, retreating back into upper vents, disappearing like ghosts. Ramos exhaled. That was suspicious. Very, Helena said. Too calm to be innocent, too nervous to be clean. Priya added, They either know something, or they're part of it. Helena looked around the dark tunnel. We report everything to the Queen. Captain, Hale said softly, are you sure she's safe to trust? Helena didn't hesitate. I trust her, and right now, she needs us. But deep inside, Helena knew something else. This wasn't just sabotage. This wasn't just political tension. This was a silent war happening under the Queen's throne, and the humans had just stepped into the center of it. The deeper Helena Ward and her team moved into the palace tunnels, the more tense everything felt. It was like the walls themselves held their breath, waiting for something terrible to happen. Even the air seemed tighter, shifting in sudden drafts that made their suit lamps flicker. Captain, Priya said quietly, scanning again. Airflow is dropping fast. Something ahead is blocking the main vents. Ramos frowned. Blocking? Or being blocked? Helena stayed focused. We'll find out. Keep moving. The path narrowed until they had to walk single file. Strange symbols were carved into the walls, Vestal markings older than the palace itself. They glowed faintly, as if reacting to the human's presence. Lena whispered, Feels like someone's watching us. They are, Helena replied calmly. Stay sharp. Their drone escort drifted closer, its lights brightening. Alert. Abnormal vibrations detected. Approaching machinery. The tunnel opened into a large chamber, and the scene inside made everyone stop. Dozens of ventilation units had been forced offline. Large turbine blades were locked in place with thick, organic, glue-like resin. Pipes had been sliced open. Panels had been ripped off walls. Everything looked violently sabotaged. Ramos muttered, Someone wanted to make sure the Queen suffocates. Priya crouched beside a damaged power junction. This isn't just damage. It's coordinated. They hit every key control point. Helena checked her wrist display. The Queen's oxygen level must be dropping as we speak. Hale added, If we don't restore airflow, she could collapse. Then we restore it, Helena said. Fix what you can. Quickly. While the humans worked, Helena walked toward the far end of the chamber. Something about the room felt off. Too quiet, too controlled. She focused her lamp against the wall and saw faint scratches, too small for Vestal claws. Someone had been here, recently, and someone small enough to use tools designed for Vestal nobles. She tapped her comm. Team, stay alert. We're not alone. Ramos looked up from a turbine he was cutting free. We already guessed that. No, Helena said. I mean right now. As if her warning triggered fate. A sudden tremor shook the chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling. The turbines rattled. Lena shouted, Captain! The vents! Pressure spike! Priya's scanner screamed with warning tones. Something is forcing air backward! Reverse pressure! Before Helena could give an order, one of the lower tunnels exploded open, wind blasting outward, throwing the humans backward. They hit the ground hard. Something massive crawled out of the vent. A Vestal warrior, but larger than any they had seen. Its armor was reinforced. Its eyes were covered by dark plates like blinders. Its antennae were cut short, and its breathing sounded wrong, heavy, fast, unnaturally forced. Hale whispered, Oh no, it's augmented. Helena's mind raced. This wasn't a guard. It was something created, modified, forced into strength through chemicals or engineering. Ramos raised his weapon. Captain, choices? Same as before, Helena replied. Disable, no lethal force. The creature roared, a deep, unnatural sound, and charged. Joss fired a stun pulse. It barely slowed the warrior. Lena shot a net of magnetic restraints. The warrior ripped it apart. Priya ducked behind a vent pipe as the creature's arm smashed into it, denting the metal like soft clay. Helena slid under one of the turbines, forcing herself to stay calm. Target the joints. They strengthened the armor, not the ligaments. Ramos fired at the warrior's knees. Lena shot at the elbows. Hale launched a low-voltage shock grenade that exploded in a crackling web of electricity. The creature staggered, arms twitching. Helena seized the moment, sprinted forward, and fired her portable EMP unit straight at the center of the warrior's chest. The blast hit it full force. The modified Vestal collapsed to the ground, trembling, then fell still. Hale scanned him quickly. Alive, but sedated. Poor guy. He didn't choose this. Helena nodded grimly. Someone forced him to attack us, or to block this chamber. Priya stood. Captain, we found something else. She pointed to a panel hidden behind a crushed turbine. Helena approached and saw a strange cluster of tubes and wires connected to a spherical device. It pulsed faintly with blue light. What is it? Priya swallowed. It's a regulator. If someone activates this, it shuts down airflow to the entire palace. Ramos stared. That would kill the queen in minutes. Helena suddenly understood everything. This is a coup device. Whoever controls it controls the palace. But why here? Why the lower tunnels? As if answering her thoughts, a voice echoed from the upper vents, smooth, confident, mocking. Impressive humans. Truly impressive. Helena spun around, weapon raised. A figure stepped out of the shadowed tunnel, tall, elegant, with dark armor trimmed in rich red patterns. His antennae were sharp, his eyes cold and calculating. Helena recognized the symbols on his armor immediately. Lord Skralex, one of the most influential nobles in the Vestal Dominion. Skralex smiled without warmth. You fix quickly, but not quickly enough. Helena kept her stance solid. You're behind this. Skralex bowed slightly. Correct. The queen has grown weak, slow, too trusting of outsiders like you. Why? Helena asked. Why sabotage her? Why starve her of oxygen? Because she must fall, Skralex replied calmly, and humanity must leave our affairs. Ramos scoffed. Oh, here we go. Alien superiority speech. Skralex's eyes narrowed. You humans crawl into places you do not belong. You change things, influence things. The Dominion must remain pure. Helena stepped forward. You're killing your own people. Skralex shrugged. Necessary sacrifices. A queen who cannot breathe cannot rule. Helena said, We found your pheromone disruptors, your manipulated warriors, your sabotaged vents. Evidence, Skralex said lightly, is meaningless if no one survives to report it. Priya whispered, Captain, we need to leave. Skralex lifted a small organic device, its lights glowing. I only need to press this. The palace vents will reverse. The pressure will crush the lower tunnels, including you. Hale muttered. He's going to bury us alive. Helena kept her voice steady. Why tell us? Skralex's mandibles clicked. Because victory tastes sweeter when witnessed. Helena's mind raced. Humans were faster in small spaces. Vestal nobles relied on height, not agility. The upper vent behind Skralex was narrow, too narrow for his full armor to enter quickly. She whispered through her calm. On my mark, grenade in the vent behind him, Joss whispered back. Copy. Helena spoke loudly to distract Skralex. You think the queen is weak, but she chose us, because she saw what you missed. Oh? Skralex asked mockingly. And what is that? That humans, Helena said, don't backstab. She raised her weapon. Joss hurled the low-voltage shock grenade past Skralex's shoulder. It flew into the upper vent and detonated, electric pulses bouncing inside like sharp echoes. Skralex spun around in shock. What? The blast caused a pressure shift, pulling dust and debris toward the vent. Skralex stumbled, momentarily disoriented. Helena used that moment to sprint forward and knock the regulator device from his grip. Skralex hissed angrily. You dare! Helena didn't listen. She grabbed the device, smashed it under her boot, and shouted, Ramos! Stun him! Ramos fired. The blast hit Skralex square in the chest. The noble convulsed, fell backward, and collapsed. Silence stretched across the chamber. Lena exhaled slowly. "Captain, we got him." Helena stared down at Skrillex. "No, we caught him." "But he isn't the only one involved." Priya added, "There must be more nobles supporting him, a whole faction." Hale nodded. This was too big for one person. Helena breathed deeply, steadying herself. "We need to report to the Queen immediately, and we need to fix this chamber." Ramos glanced at Skrillex again. "He said she's weak, but she's not. She's loyal to her people. That's why they fear her." Helena agreed, "Which is exactly why we're going to help her win." They began repairs on the turbines and vents. The air pressure eased. The hum of machinery restarted. And slowly the palace began to breathe again. But Helena knew one thing. This wasn't the end. The coup had begun, and the shadows were still moving. The palace shook again. Not from sabotage this time, but from alarms vibrating through every wall. Bright red biolights flashed across the tunnels, sending waves of color through the chamber like a heartbeat in panic. Ramos steadied himself against a railing. "Whole palace is freaking out." "It's Skrillex's faction," Helena said. "Now that he's down, they know their plan is collapsing." Priya checked her scanner. "The main vents are stabilizing. Airflow is returning to the Queen's chambers." Hale looked relieved. "At least she can breathe again." "Good," Helena said, "because we're taking her the truth. All of it." The team moved quickly, leaving the damaged lower tunnels and rushing toward the central palace. The drone escort guided them with flashing lights, scanning every corner as they passed. Helena kept her weapon ready, senses sharp. "Expect resistance. Skrillex may be down, but his allies won't give up." Ramos smirked. "We beat their giant warrior experiment. I think we can handle a few angry nobles." Helena's voice stayed calm but firm. "Don't underestimate them. They know the palace better than we do." As they climbed the final ramp toward the throne chamber, they heard the echo of Vesthal voices above, shouting, arguing, panicking. The Queen's guards stood in rows, trying to keep order, but the nobles were angry and confused. Their antennae waved wildly, their bodies tense. Helena raised her voice. "Move aside! We must speak to the Queen!" Some guards hesitated, but the humans' urgency and the drone escort's authority allowed them through. The throne chamber was enormous, glowing softly with gold biolight. Queen Veraska lay on her massive throne, wings trembling but lifted higher than before. She still looked tired, but not as suffocated as earlier. Repairs in the tunnels were helping. When the humans entered, her eyes brightened. "You return, and I sense truth." Helena stopped before the Queen and bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, we found the source of your troubles." Veraska leaned forward. "Speak." "Skrillex," Helena said. "He's behind the sabotage. He built a network of micro-tunnels, disruptors, manipulated guards, even modified warriors. He planned to shut down airflow to the entire palace." The Queen's wings flared in shock. "He dared?" Ramos added. "We caught him. He's unconscious but alive." Priya spoke next, pointing to her scanner. "He wasn't working alone. There are more nobles involved, a whole faction." The Queen's antennae lowered with sorrow. "My own court, plotting in shadows I cannot see." Helena stepped closer. "They used your biology against you, vent sabotage, pheromone disruption, false signals. They tried to make you collapse." Veraska drew in a deep breath, still labored but growing stronger. "I feared this. I felt the betrayal. But I could not find it." "That's why you called us," Helena said. "Humans see differently. We don't sense pheromones. We notice things you instinctively ignore." The Queen studied them with deep, glowing eyes. "And you brought me truth." Before Helena could reply, a loud clatter echoed outside the throne room. Guards shouted, claws scraped against metal. Helena turned toward the entrance, weapon lifted. A group of nobles forced their way inside. Their armor shimmered sharply in red and silver, their antennae curled in aggression. And their leader stepped forward, the same noble who had confronted the humans earlier in the tunnels. She hissed, voice trembling with anger and fear. "Your Majesty, these humans are dangerous. They trespassed. They attacked our warriors," Ramos whispered to Helena. "Called it." The queen rose slightly on her throne, her massive presence filling the chamber. "They acted under my order." The nobles froze. Veraska's voice rumbled through the hall. "They protected me when you would not." The leading noble stepped forward shakily. "But, Your Majesty, they accuse us." "No," Veraska interrupted. "They accuse Skrillex, and the evidence agrees." She lifted one claw toward Helena. "Bring him!" Guards dragged the unconscious Skrillex into the room. His armor was cracked. His body twitched as he slowly regained awareness. When his eyes opened, he glared at the queen and the humans. "Skrillex," Veraska said, her voice cold. "Explain yourself." He laughed weakly. "Why should I? You are old, slowing, blind to threats. You let humans whisper in your court. You forgot what strength is." Veraska's wings rose high. "Strength is loyalty. Strength is unity. Strength is protecting one's people, not suffocating them." Skrillex spat. "Humans only help you for power." Helena stepped forward. "We helped because you asked, because you're an ally, because someone was trying to kill you." The chamber fell silent. The nobles looked between Helena and the queen, their expressions caught between fear and doubt. Veraska's voice softened, but only slightly. "Humans did not backstab me. They backed me up." She leaned forward, massive and powerful despite her exhaustion. "And you, Skrillex, stabbed me in the shadows." Skrillex swung his head away. "The Dominion needs strength. The Dominion needs truth," Veraska said sharply. Her eyes glowed brighter. "And now it has it." She raised one claw, signaling her guards. "Take him, and any noble who shared his plans." Panic erupted among the guilty. Some tried to flee, but the queen's guards were faster. They captured suspects with precise moves, surrounding them in controlled energy nets. The leading noble from the tunnels bowed her head in shame. "Your Majesty, I did not know Skrillex would go so far." Veraska studied her for a long moment. "You will answer for your role, but justice will be fair." The noble trembled, but accepted her fate. Once the traitors were secured, Veraska turned back to Helena and her team. "You saved my life," she said simply. Helena nodded. "We're your allies. That's what we do." The queen took a deep, steadying breath, the strongest they had seen from her yet. "Your species is strange, small, fragile, loud." She paused. "But you see what others hide. You move where we cannot. You think in ways we forget." Lena smiled a little. "We do our best." Veraska lowered her massive head in respect, an honor almost never seen from Vestal royalty. "Humanity has earned a place at my side, not behind my back." The humans exchanged proud glances. Helena said, "We're grateful." "No," Veraska replied firmly. "I am grateful." Later, as the palace repaired and the air systems hummed steadily again, Helena walked with Ramos through a high balcony overlooking the glowing city. Ramos leaned on the railing. "Never thought we'd stop a coup in a giant alien hive." Helena chuckled lightly. "Human life is full of surprises." "Think the queen will be okay?" "She's strong," Helena said. "She'll recover. And now she knows who her real enemies are." "And who her real allies are," Ramos added. Helena nodded. "Exactly." A gentle wind blew across the balcony as Vestal drones flew past, repairing towers and checking ventilation routes. The city looked alive again, breathing again, just like its queen. Helena watched the horizon, stars glowing beyond the city walls. Humanity was small out here in the galaxy, fragile, new, unexpected. But today proved something important. Humans might be small, but they were impossible to overlook. They didn't betray. They didn't hide in shadows. They stood beside their allies, even when things got dark. HFY.